Welcome to Tabletop Tactics. Folks, welcome to Tabletop Tactics with myself, Lawrence, and Mr. Beard in this special series of Backstage videos, The Colors of Chaos by Siege Studios. So these are a set of 3 Army Showcase videos. It's very exciting because the Chaos Space Marine Codex came out very recently.
It's still
quite
fresh.
Appropriate. Because a lot of you actually ask us about our armies in the comments saying, oh, wow, who painted this? Is there a painting tutorial? And you know, and sometimes we've done it in-house, but also often Siege Studios has done it. Because we've worked with Siege Studios for quite a few years now, and they have painted quite a few of our armies. And the Chaos Space Marine armies are amongst, in my opinion, some of the most beautiful that Siege has given to us, and also more recent and relevant with the Chaos Space Marine. So we thought it would be a good opportunity to do this. So, let's talk a little bit about the process, because I know a lot of people are curious about commission painting and, you know, studios and how it all works as well. And whilst this is going on, you'll have lots of beautiful models.
Yes, whilst we're nattering on, you can have your eyes feasted upon? No, not that.
No.
You can feast your eyes upon all of the models coming up. Ooh, what a horrible fate.
It's quite chaos. It's quite chaos.
So this is one of our bigger armies.
Yes.
And like you say, we do require the additional help to churn out the amount of videos that we do. We can't paint them all by ourselves. So having the help from Siege has been amazing. So with an army of this size, where did you start with Siege?
Yeah, because it's a big project. It's an unusually big project. So when we're doing battle report armies for Tabletop Tactics, we actually tend to need a minimum of 5,000 points. To be honest, more. Really, 6,000 to 8,000 points is what we like. And with this project, in the end, I think we've got at least 5,000 points. I think if you start putting in upgrades and do all sorts of other jazz, you might hit 6,000. But yeah, it was a big project, and it wasn't that far after the new Chaos Space Marine kits had been launched. So we knew we wanted to represent these gorgeous new models, but we just didn't have the time to get them painted. And of course we thought, well, you know, we've got to have an army led by the War Master himself, Abaddon the Spoiler, you know, and we have to do the Black Legion based on that. But I didn't have, what was quite cool about working with Siege is that they give you a spec sheet to fill out. So this is how it works. You get in contact with Siege, you go, right, they send you a spec sheet where you basically detail out what you want painted, how you want it, paint style, basing, magnetization requirements. And we generally need quite a bit of magnetization because that helps us not just have to buy, you know, the same kit 6 times to do 6 different weapon loadouts, you know, so magging it becomes actually a much better economical saving for us.
And that's also another part, like with these painting studios, you sort of forget that they need to be built as well.
Yeah, and that takes time consuming too.
They've got to be clipped out, they've got to have the mold lines removed, they've got to be posed in a certain way, the magnets, like it's a big thing to get through with an army this size. Yeah,
exactly. And Siege Studios, I've worked with, you know, several different commission artists in our time with Tabletop Tactics. We started working with Siege fairly early on, as when the channel was born, so to speak. Siege Studios, I will level with you guys, are definitely not the cheapest commission studio to work with, but you do get really great consistent quality. And speaking of quality, it'd probably be good to talk about what the standard is. So they offer multiple tiers, and this particular tier is basically the silver standard is what they call it. I guess you could call it like Tabletop Plus, but even their bronze tier is still much higher than what I would consider your base tabletop. You know, it's not like 3-color minimum. You're actually getting highlights in there. You are getting some depth to the colors. So I knew we wanted a good standard. Gold is off. There's platinum as well, which is like display standard, but gold isn't far off of platinum. to do an entire army at gold standard would be very, very expensive. There are going to be collectors out there which want to do that with their special models. Some people only get the characters done at gold and they get the infantry done at silver or bronze.
Yeah.
So there's ways that you can sort of change how you you spread the cost of the army, right? But with this, I wanted everything to be silver, consistent standard, and that is actually exactly what we got. But as I said, because, you know, I love the Black Legion, don't get me wrong, but like they're not my favorite army. So I wasn't particularly inspired by any type of scheme. And obviously black can be a tricky color, especially on camera as well, to actually make pop and give depth to. What was cool is we actually got some test models, some examples from the artist. It was like, well, you know, what do you think of this grade? What do you think of these edge highlights? You know, what about the gold? Do you want it to have like a coppery feel or a bronze feel or stark gold? Because, you know, Black Legion being traditionally black and gold. And we settled on this black very early on because actually this is a black which does have depth.
Yeah, it sort of feels like you could sort of poke it and just go boom.
Yeah, it's real, you know, it's not flat. And they've ended up doing, traditionally with Siege, I found that the majority of work is done by the brush, lots of nice free blending, you know, on a wet palette or whatever. Not so much a focus on the airbrush, which can be quicker, but you definitely get what I call like that heavy metal sort of style, that clean, crisp,
edge highlights,
you know, Games Workshop style look, right? Which is really nice. And what they've done is they've used the airbrush in a really complementary way here across the force by giving it a slight blue-gray grade.
Yeah.
And that's built up that volumetric highlight, which, you know, people like Fletcher are so good at doing as well. And then they finished it with these crisp, sharp edge highlights, which work really, really well, in my opinion. So you're going to be seeing all of these beautiful models coming up, the army coming up as I'm talking. But yeah, the process was, I filled in the spec sheet. They showed me a couple of test models. I finalized the black. I was like, yeah, that's going to work really well. Finalized like the gold, and it's almost like a bronzy gold, but I like that because Chaos has got to be a bit grim and dark, right? And then the project was a go. And from start to finish, it took quite a bit of time. It was about, I think we were working on it nearly 6 months in the end, but also bear in mind, it was, as I say, about 6,000 points.
Big old army, yep.
So, yeah, that's a lot of models. Yeah, but that was the process.
I think in terms of the other thing I quite like is that, like these 3 rhinos in front of me here, for instance, what's quite nice is that the artists have made them all quite individual. So if you sort of zoom out, or zoom in maybe, and think about the army from a narrative perspective. This rhino here that has its squad inside, that's their rhino.
Yes.
So they've probably emblazoned it with their own iconography and stuff like that. And they've done a great job at making them look very unique. They're built in exactly the same way. There's no difference of how they look, but what they've done with the paint style and the runes and the stencils and the transfers, they've sort of given life to them individually, which is very, very cool.
It's a really good point.
And you can see that across the whole army. Like the individual types of units have sort of been, they've taken some of their Legion heraldry with them. So like the Havocs and the Obliterators have got Iron Warriors stripes on. The Raptors have got nods to the Night Lords. You've got the Terminators, which are maybe Slanesh, I think. I can't quite remember. But they're sort of little nods to where all of these units came from, because Black Legion are a war band. So they sort of got different elements from lots of different legions, and they've all come together for the war.
The Exalted Champion's got Khorne iconography going on, which is really, really cool. And that's a really good point, actually, because that was the artist's own inspiration. I didn't ask for that. You know, I was like, oh, we really need the army as soon as possible. Want to do an amazing Black Legion force. But, you know, I didn't, you know, unlike when I did my Flesh Terrors and I converted them all, like I had a very solid idea of what I wanted in the project. This was really a really nice touch for the artist to actually imprint that individuality across the force. You're absolutely right, because they are all veterans of the Long War as well. You know, things like the freehand runes on the top patches and stuff of the rhinos really do bring that individuality and that pop, because I do think like black and gold does pop well, but as I said earlier, like if that black's not done right, it could end up looking really flat, and that's not what's happened here. But yes, those individual touches from the artist are just perfect. So Beard, what are some of, because obviously you are a Black Legion fan. What are some of your favorite units that we've got?
I do like the Master Possession.
Yeah.
He's very cool.
Yeah.
So where you've got the flaming skulls and the fireball thing he's holding, they're all done in the god specific colors. So you've got Nurgle, Tzeentch, Slanesh and Khorne on there, which represent all of his wicked ways of the warp, which are very
Colours
cool.
of Chaos, yeah.
The Terminators are great. I really like what they've done with the power weapons on those. The green is
green
very
blend is gorgeous.
cool,
Yeah.
very cool. And that can be a bit of a risk. Like some people are like, why would the maul be green? But it just works. It's a power weapon.
Yeah.
It's imbued with chaotic energy.
Yeah.
And I do like on the vehicles as well, just little pops.
Yeah.
Little pops. Like
Little
on those,
something.
on those Hellbreach, you've got the little bit of red on the las cannon.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's nice. Yeah. And also on what you mentioned before about the black on the Forge Fiends, where you've got that domed top to its carapace, there's sort of like little bits where the light shines and it makes it look like it is actually shaped.
Yeah, there's like
and
a
there's
point
some sheen to it.
where the light hits. Yeah, which if you've done on some of the edge highlights, as you say, and it really works. It's really lovely. The Master of Possessions, may even be my favourite model in paint. Like I love Abaddon, and I loved Jack Nien's blue. Deep blue to midnight fade on that weapon as well. But there's something about the fire, the colours of chaos that pop on that Master of Possession so well. And which I'm talking about models which across a range, which is all pretty stunning to be fair. Black Legion is definitely one of my favourite painted armies in the studio. But yeah, I completely agree. So look, that is it. We wanted to talk a little bit about the process with Siege. If you're interested in getting an army like this, for your reference again, this was a army that was painted to the silver standard. You can hit them up on their website, fill out a contact form, and then they'll get back to you as soon as they can. We'll have a link for that in the description below. But that has been the Black Legion.
Indeed, and also to mention about Siege, once you get the ball rolling with them as well, the customer service is actually very good. So you'll get, once a project's on its way, you'll get updates relatively regularly. If you are sending emails and things like that, from my personal experience, they're very quick at getting back. Yeah. So you get taken care of as well. It's very nice.
Yeah, because you've just had your Iron Warriors Land Raider done.
Yes, I have. In
Forge Fiends done.
Yeah.
And with that, that concludes our review of this gorgeous Black Legion army by Siege Studios. Coming up in this Colours of Chaos series, we do have Thousand Suns and Death Guards coming up next, where we review those two projects. For now, we'll see you in another video very, very soon.